Hello, Lynn and Ronan. Welcome to Melbourne Property Listing. It's a pleasure to have you on our live stream today.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be here.
Great to be here. Thank you, Michael.
So we have this transformation through property investment. Got that right? Yep. So we want to, I guess, understand a bit about development and property investment, of course. So I know we've got a few things to cover, but before we jump into it, let's start off with the basics. So we're going to have a variety of people watching this. Some are experienced, some are probably not so experienced. So if we start off with the ones who are not so experienced, maybe not even in any sort of investment at this stage or any type of development, what would you say is the first step really of getting prepared or getting ready or doing some research of getting into development or property investment of any kind?
Yeah, sure. No problem, Michael. We can answer that. So first of all, just a quick, for anybody who doesn't know us, my name is Lynn. I'm Lynn Jackson, co-founder of Transformation Through Property Investment, which is a mentoring program where we teach by doing. So we teach property investment and development through practical example with live projects. And co-founder and business partner is Ronan, who's here on the call.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ronan Powell. I'm co-creator of the course and mentor with Lynn. And I'm on the sort of the business side, number side, strategy, deal making, tools and that kind of thing.
So Michael, that's a great question that you asked, and I'm very glad that you asked it because I'm in a perfect position to answer it, having done it all the wrong way around. I can answer that question perfectly in hindsight. So when I started off 20 plus years ago, we didn't have, I was explaining today to a few people, we didn't really have home computers, I think in those days, or any of the networking and all of the amazing free information that we have today. So unless you had somebody, you came from a business background or you had somebody around you, you might not even come across anything to do with investing whatsoever. But I was lucky that I somehow stumbled across property, getting involved in property through renovation initially, and just by accident, by buying a house that was in a horrible state because that was what I could afford at the time, and then renovating it. And I think because the market improved at the time, I made a bit of a profit and kind of a little light bulb went off and I thought, what's this? And I didn't know anything about it, but kind of thought, okay, I'm going to do that again, and did. So, and look, I think probably a few people could start off that way, and there's nothing wrong with it, but nothing wrong with it in principle, but what is wrong with it is that you can obviously end up making huge mistakes and losing money, which is not what we want. Now that we've got the benefit of all of this, education around us and mentoring, then absolutely, if I was starting again today, then that will be the number one thing that I do. I work with a coach. Ronan's here. Ronan's my business coach. I would never do anything these days, I don't think, without a business, without a mentor or a coach, but that's just me. But in terms of the other things that are really important for somebody starting off, you really need to understand, what it is that you want to achieve, what it is that you're aiming for. If you want to be able to leave your job, or you want to be able to fund your retirement, you start off with a goal and then work out, okay, well, where am I now in relation to that goal? So what's my financial situation currently? Work out what your net worth is, what your income is every month, what's going out, what is left, what's your kind of amount that's left in your bank account every month, so that you fully understand your position, what your spending's like, what your essential spending is, and what you can afford, what's your kind of non-essential spending that you could cut back on if you wanted to or needed to spend that on an investment. And really get some good advice from a broker about if you're going to buy an investment property or an asset of any kind, what can you actually afford to do? What kind of borrowings available to you? those are some of the important things, I think.
Yep. So I guess if, let's say we've got, moving up a notch now, we've got someone, maybe let's say maybe they've gotten involved, they've either had a bad experience, they lost money, for whatever reason, we don't know, or they're currently in a bad situation. Interest rates and everything's working against everyone at the moment financially, maybe, and people, could be job-related reasons, or it could be just a bad investment to begin with. So, in terms of someone, getting advice in terms of how do I get out, or like how do I fix the problem I'm in? I know there's 100 different scenarios to pick from, but is there anything that you could sort of, from experience, this has happened to me and this is how I dealt with it, or any of those kind of scenarios?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ronan will probably jump in here too. From my experience, I would say always talk to somebody who's qualified to answer the question. So if it's in relation to a property that you're having issues with, you might want to talk to a finance broker to see, is there something else that you can do? If you've borrowed to purchase that property, for example, what is there something that you can do? Are you able to refinance to release some cash to help you out, or is there a different lender you could go to? Those are a couple of examples. If it was to do with property, and if you're seeking advice, I would always say go to a professional, someone who's experienced to answer the question, and somebody with a growth mindset. This is a really important thing that I've learned. In the past, I've asked people for advice, who didn't understand business, didn't understand investing, and they can be extremely well-meaning, but can give you very kind of debilitating advice. So I would just recognize that, okay, who do I know, or who can I access who's qualified to answer my question and who has a growth mindset, future focused.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bit. And when I'm picking advisors and things for various businesses, like there's lots of lawyers and accountants, but you want an entrepreneurial one, so that they actually understand the heart and soul of people who are going out and taking risks. Because I've been in plenty of meetings over the years where lawyers and accountants give advice that is technically correct, but it is. We're not financial advisors, and I know this is going to be on the internet, but it isn't smart business advice. So it's important to know yourself as well. Are you really good entrepreneurial? Are you capable of taking the counsel and making that differentiation to know, was this person, are both these people, let's say, giving good advice, but this one's entrepreneurial? You've also got to trust the integrity of the person, because you could have someone who's entrepreneurial and a lawyer and doesn't mind stepping over the foul line. You don't want to do that. So we were speaking to a finance broker today, actually, and I don't know if I can name banks, but one of them, they're the big four banks. One of them is blue and one of them is red. The red one begins with W and the blue one begins with A. And their rates now, they're doing refinancing packages now at 1% above the RBA rate. So that is significantly lower than a lot of the rates people find themselves in tonight. So if someone's watching that, I'm not getting any money for this. but if someone's watching and they're in a difficult situation, it might be worth talking to brokers who can get you into those red and blue banks beginning with W and A. And so there are things like that. So yeah, definitely, have people around you. Also, one more thing I would add to that is a lot of, like, if you look at the business world, a lot of investors do really well on what's called distressed assets. And so they come in, and happened in Channel 9 a few years ago. Oak Tree Capital came in from the States and they bought Channel 9 because it was a distressed asset, because they know how to turn it around. So if you've got money in something, and you know somebody who's comfortable with handling distressed assets, they might take your position in the deal
Yeah.
And you might lose less, or you might lose any, you might come to some sort of arrangement. So there are people who are comfortable with distressed assets. There are people who are, there are interest rate reductions available if you have, as Lynn said, the right professionals around you to steer you in the right direction.
Yeah.
What I definitely would never do, Michael, and what I have done in the past is you know, not ask for help. So I know it's, you know, sometimes we can feel embarrassed to ask for help, or we feel like nobody can help us, and we're a little bit embarrassed to reach out. It's the worst thing you can do, and it's so unnecessary. Lots of people like helping other people, so I always, you know, look for professional, well-regarded people, and just reach out to as many of them as you can until you find the answer that you want. And Ronan is absolutely right. If it's a financial situation, it may be that somebody's sitting around with funds, and they will come to some kind of win-win situation with you because they're entrepreneurial.
We had that situation actually in one of our projects.
Yeah.
Where it's a strata project, so stratifying an apartment building, the entire building. And that's a current project of ours. And one of the investors in that project, who has substantial six-figure amounts in the project with us, wanted to withdraw it for personal reasons. Her partner needed some care, long-term care, for he's got dementia.
Right.
And so, although we were under no legal obligation to do that, we have a depth of funds, a reservoir of funds in our mentoring program. We went to one of our mentees who is CEO of a family office and asked would he switch places with our current investor. And we facilitated all that to happen. She took her multiple hundreds of thousands out and he put it in, and they're both really happy.
Yeah, so it worked out good. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out well for everybody. Yeah.
Just got to know where to look for the solution when there's a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the right who will give you the best how is how we think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just got some very quick question, like a rapid fire. If we just have a quick few questions, and I've got another question to follow up. So, just off the top of your head, how many? Sorry, I pressed the button here and don't know what happened.
The screens these days, there's like a million things going on. Yeah.
There we go. So how many projects do you have running at the moment?
So live projects, we have just finished 3 projects. So one sold a little while back. One has just gone on the market. Actually, the other one is just about to complete. Will be completed in the next couple of weeks, I think. Those are the live projects that we have at the moment, and we have in our pipeline. I actually can't remember. Will be about half a dozen or so in the pipeline.
5 or 6, and some of them are sites beside each other, which could become one big one. And
right.
You yourself, Lynn, then privately as well. So it's probably a good, like, existing, and your ones, Lynn, I'd say could be up around 7 or 8, and then the pipeline is probably another 6.
And then, Lynn, you mentioned you've got about 20 years experience. So approximately how many projects you worked on over that time?
I did count it once. It was around 30. So I did a lot of, I think I mentioned renovations. I literally went through a stage where just went from one renovation to another for a lot of years in the UK, and then continued that in New Zealand, and I've done it here. I'm pretty sure it was in the low 30s.
Still, it's a big number for development, because development is a long period of time, right? So considering you've done 30, must have had a few overlaps in there. And
some of them were quick cosmetic renos, yes, and definitely some of them were overlapping. And then obviously as time went on, I started to do projects alongside each other. So I would do subdivisions with renovation flip in the middle because you're waiting a bit longer for a subdivision to finish, and you need you want cash to come out. So a quicker cosmetic renovation project in the middle is a really good way to help with cash flow. But look, it's roughly in the mid-30s. I kind of got to. I'm pretty old, so I couldn't remember all of them.
I
I couldn't even find a lot of them on the internet, which is
really? Maybe they've been knocked down and redeveloped.
I had a horse and cart in the front, black and white photo.
And how about yourself, Ronan?
So I'm more the business side. So I've just done investing, like buying something and selling it a few years later, probably a handful.
Yeah.
So I'm not really on site with the development side of it.
Yeah.
But when I was in consulting, I was kind of like the handler for a few the billionaire developers in Ireland and in Australia.
Yeah.
And so that was mainly around strategy, fallback positions.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking to the other side being usually a council, sometimes syndicates and so forth, getting things through the pipeline.
Yep.
And then dealing with fund managers, property fund managers in Australia, helping them move funds from one organization to another, and the management of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Lynn is much more the property expert.
Yep. Yeah, but both go hand in hand, of course.
And the business.
They are. What I would say, Michael, absolutely, sorry to interrupt, Ronan. And what I would say, Michael, is that so for me in property, I was doing okay as I was going, but you cannot do it to any real extent without it. It is a business. You're handling multi-million-dollar properties, maybe more than that, right? Business, and a lot of us, especially if we're entrepreneurs or we're doing this as a bit of a sideline and then building it up. We don't come from a business background a lot of the time, and the majority of businesses crash because of a lack of understanding of cash flow. And I was exactly in that boat. So where Ronan, if you see Ronan will sit down and churn out a very complex spreadsheet in an hour that I couldn't. It would take me the rest of my life to. But I'm not exaggerating. He will do that if I say to him, "Oh, I've got this problem." Ronan thinks in spreadsheets, so he will get in front of the computer. He'll say, "Don't tell me about it unless you can give me the numbers," and then we will sit down and work it out, rather in an emotional way, talking about it like an emotional problem. Ronan will take us to the computer, share the screen, and say, "Okay, what's this in the spreadsheet?" Or how what are the different ways that we can work this in a deal? Sorry, Ronan.
On both sides as well, because I'll do that for, let's say, for JV partners and so forth, because it's the spreadsheets. Although I can do that, and it's probably it's a first language of mine. I'm only interested in that to the extent that it translates into good relationships, and producing good outcomes for everybody involved. So I really enjoy bringing that kind of thinking into deal structuring, and we always tilt deals slightly in favor of our JV partners, believe it or not.
So let's say
the numbers. You need somebody who understands numbers. Whatever you're doing with property, you need somebody who thoroughly understands the numbers.
And we give that in the program. So we give all those tools that we use then shared. And, we brought our CFO in to improve one of the spreadsheets that we thought was already good. And our CFO came in and just took it that whole other level. Accountants are looking at it going, holy moly. Like accountants couldn't build it, she's an auditor and an accountant and a CPA and the whole lot. So we give those tools as part of this program.
I think any business, it does help to know numbers and how to work with numbers. So, but yeah, that was actually my next question. Is that so? We've got, say, someone's got some capital, they're looking to do something with it. They've got a great accountant, they've got a great broker, they've got a great lawyer. But they don't have a lot of knowledge in how to go about it and how to get started and all the other interesting aspects you need to know about property investment and development. What do you have to offer there?
I think people have to choose, first of all, a vehicle. If they, are looking to, I presume you're talking about somebody who wants to use that capital to increase their wealth, make a profit. They have to choose a vehicle that suits them. There are lots of different vehicles out there. If it was property in particular, there are lots of different, I like property because there are so many different strategies that you can use with property, you know, and it's an international strategy too. It's pretty, you know, you're able to jump across if Australia is not looking great at the moment for whatever reason. You know, if you're so inclined, you can go and do something in the US or the UK or somewhere else. So it's very diverse, lots of different options, long-term options, buy and hold, short-term options, reno flips and things. But you have to choose something that suits your personality, your time and the resources that you have. And that's something that we talk about in module 1 is kind of working that out. So, you know, who are you, knowing yourself and what you want, where you are at the moment. And what kind of things suit you. Some people want to be very passive. You know, they might be a pretty risk averse in terms of what they do, which is absolutely fine. But, you know, you don't want to be steering those people into building a 20-house townhouse development because it's going to be very stressful.
Yeah.
And then there are other people who, you know, will be more suited to that. So it's about finding out what you want, who, you know, the kind of personality you have, I guess, and then having somebody who's achieved what you want to achieve, who is already there to guide you into making a plan.
Yeah. And I guess probably the last thing is, what else can you share about transformation through property investment?
We could share lots. We love transformation through property investment.
This will help you, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you. We have some slides. I'm saying this because I think we do feel passionate about it, because we genuinely believe that it does fill a gap in that we provide a kind of a program that holds people's hand. That was our intention. I think that it's so risky. Property development is high risk. But I think because one of the downsides of social media at the moment and the free availability of information is that you have all of these forums to do with property development, and you have people with absolutely zero experience, and they are running quite high risk projects. And not only that, but they're asking for other people to come in as money partners, and that's prolific at the moment. And it's really, you know, it has the potential to be financially devastating for the people involved. So we're offering an opportunity for people to come into a program. It's a small boutique program where we teach you everything that you need to know to run a small development, but also provide the tools as well, you know, the feasibility tools, but teach how to use them. And, you know, the things that people don't want to do themselves or they struggle with, we're there to fill that gap, I suppose. So if you're not a numbers person and the feasibility is hard for you, you know, we can do that and share it with you, or help to put the legal structure around you, you know, put you in front of a really good business orientated accountant, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, so as Lynn was saying, just to add a little bit, so we set it up to fill that gap. There was nowhere, and Lynn knows the sector really well, and I've seen a few operators in the sector, and I'm, you know, fairly well up on it. There was nobody who was teaching stuff that encompasses everything I'm about to say. It works. They genuinely will give you their time as a mentor, and they will do deals with you. And by deals, what I mean by that is we think of it as finders, funders, and trades. People come into deals and JV with TTPI as a finder, or they can do as a finder, they find a site, or as a funder, where they provide some or all of the financing, or a trade, where they might, you know, like Lynn mentioned, one of our mentees who built one of our projects. So he was in the group, and he got paid as a builder, but he also took profits from the project as a JV partner. There were other people in there as funders who just put in money and just went about their everyday life and took profits from the result. And then the finder in that case was Lynn. And so TTPI just handles the whole thing and takes a small fee. And so that's the mentoring program that we've been running. And it was a private high ticket, it's $12,000 a year per person to be in that program. And so what we realized was that, you know, a lot of people were too afraid to pay that money, or they genuinely just didn't have it, or they'd been in other programs that just, you know, gave them some stuff, material, and 1,000 swipe files that they're never going to read or even able to understand how they interrelate. And they weren't taking action. So we put the program together to help people actually take action. What followed on from that then, Michael, was we realized that the program was good. We got great feedback. And so we took literally all the content from that program and we put it into an online program, which is what this is all about, really. And we actually recorded some new content that the high ticket people currently don't have access to. We will give it to them eventually. So we've taken all the content, all the videos, all the modules, and then we've taken our entire due diligence process, our investment analysis tool, our feasibility tool, our go, no go tool. Mm-hmm. We've taken our project management tool, end-to-end project management, complete with all the codes, all the things you could possibly do in a project, automated to a Gantt chart. We've taken all of that and put that in the program as well. And then we decided to actually allow them in to a call every month into the high ticket mentoring program without paying the 12 grand. So everything I've just said there is we've just decided to do it for a fraction, literally like 1/6 all of that, which we thought was a no-brainer because we didn't want to skimp. We didn't want to do this, right? We didn't want to say, oh, we know you've got to go A, B, and C to make it work, but we'll give you A, and B, and then we'll bribe you to give you C. We don't do that. We're actually giving them A, B, and C.
Yep.
And we're allowing them into a mentoring call every month because you've got to have the A, B, and C. And this is for people who want to learn it, absorb it, and if they want to, they can go into the high ticket one. I mean, that option's there.
Yeah.
But it really is. There's two key parts to the business, and one is the high ticket stuff for 12 grand. And you know, Lynn was talking about that there, but this is everything they get in terms of content, tools, the whole lot. We haven't withheld anything, and we're still into one of the calls every month.
Yeah, so definitely a starting point for a lot of people. And I guess there's going to be a link here somewhere in the post, so anyone watching can
absolutely
can click away.
Yeah. So I'm going to put in a link here. And what we're actually doing with this link, Michael, is we are giving people the first part of our due diligence, but we're just going to give it for free. So you see the kind of thinking we use. If they go through that link, they'll get our investment analysis template. That was developed based on lots of Lynn's experience, lots of my experience, and then gathering up things that I picked up from professional fund managers, professional developers, the big ones, how they think. And so we have about 4 pages of questions. We literally write down the answers to our own projects in there, and we print it out and then use it as a thinking tool to kind of iterate as we go.
Yeah,
that's in the link there, Michael. And yeah, at the other side, once you get your you'll get the investment analysis template, no strings, just pick it up. You'll see an offer to the online program that we've just talked about as well. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
A lot of great information there, and the program itself looks really good too. A lot of information, and sounds like you're really helping people by coming up with these different educational ideas. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, that was great. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Thank you.